So the Maisa says, Rambam is right in Atzilus, right? That's how Chassidus would say it. The Rambam's model of Atzmus is Hu Ayadei and Aidu and Hu Amada, which is Atzilus, which is what the Rebbe calls in a different Maimer. I'm learning now about Hashgacha Pratis. Bosel Lagan Tavshin Tezvav, where the Rebbe talks about this, so it's called Chiyuv. But the emes is, you want to talk about the truth, but Ein Sof, what the Maharal speaks about, it's an insult to say Chochmah, because the Eibush is so far away from Chochmah that you can't even say that he's Chochmah, you can only say that he doesn't have any Chasadim. So if the truth of the matter is that the Eibush is removed from the Madrega, Hu Ayadeina, Yidu, Hu Amada, Rivavis Madregas, like it says in Maharal, so why do Bechlal we have Esses Sfiras? In other words, why do we Bechlal agree with the Rambam? That the Rambam says that Atzmus is... for a long time. That Atzmus is Esses Sfiras. The Teretz is that Mepnei Shein Ben Evraim Keachs is no power amongst us creations. Lahasik, to intellectually reach. Rak HaHishtash is only the understanding of the Hishtash, the chain reaction. Mi Madrega Chachma, beginning with Chachma. Shehirei Shisam, which is our beginning. The Madrega is Asiyah Shvela, all the way down to the level of Asiyah Shvela. In other words, Lo Olam. We should say what's higher than Chachma and what's higher than that, all the way back to Rivavis Madregas Adin Kates. Riboy Rivavis Madregas. Lakach anu Eimrim, therefore we say, Shalagabi HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kepeter Eibishter, Nachshavas Madregas HaChachma, Kemadregas Asiyah Mamish, Chachma is like Asiyah, even though there's so many Madregas above it. The higher in this language, this means to say, Shehu that the Eibishter is Ram, Venisa, Venaila, is uplifted and exalted and above. Ilu Rav, Mi'ed, higher, infinitely, without an end. Mi Madregas HaChachma, the level of Chachma. And it's totally impossible. There's no way you could correctly, credibly attribute to the Eibishter anything which has to do with Chachma. Even if you're going to say that he's higher than Chachma, but to say that he's indirectly above Chachma is also wrong. In other words, not only is the Eibishter not Chachma, the Eibishter is not even not Chachma. He's not Chachma also. Going for example, to say about the Eibishter, you say, great Eibishter, nobody understands him. That's an insult. You can't even say you don't understand it, because not understanding means that there's an inyan from understanding, and the guy by the Eibishter, it's not. It's not even not understanding. Ein Sof, it's shlilas kol shlilas. We don't understand that at all. You can't even say that he's not Chochmah. Saga, the idea of intellectually understanding, misyachas v'neifel al var chochma v'seichel, is only relevant, and the term can be applied to ideas that are fundamentally wisdom and understanding. Chochma and seichel, I don't know the difference. If you would say seichel ubina or chochma ubina, I would be able to tell you the difference. But chochma seichel, they're both chochma. Laima to say something which is intellectual, you can say, listen, I do understand it. Or I cannot understand it. Because the subject matter is too deep. We talk about the Eibishter, and we mean not just the Eibishter. We mean Sevav Kalam, we mean Shtilu, we mean Eibishterliness, we mean Ein Sof. He's totally removed from the level of wisdom and intuitive understanding. You can't even say about him that we can't understand him because he's too deep a concept. He's fundamentally unintellectual. And now remember, Rambam as a chayker, as a philosopher, says Atzmus is an etzem of seichel. Like I told you a bunch of times, the state in Nevuchim. What's the taich nasa adam b'tzalmeinu? Could we say, let us make man in my image? Taich is the Rambam with seichel. Because kvayachal in Chakira, the Atzmus of Elokus is seichel. Okay, it's seichel in a madrega of huayedeina yidu and huamada, and dova zeh yefshel havini aburi of chuluk meshikosav achayker lakat timsa. But it's an etzem of seichel. Says the Alter Rebbe, we speak like the Rambam only because this is what we could relate to. The truth is, you can't even say that you don't understand the Eibishter. Not you can't even say the Eibishter understands more than you. You can't even say he's not Seich. And if you say about the Eibishter, that he's incomprehensible, who it is, is like someone would to say about an idea that's deep, that's exalted and deep. You can't touch it with your hands because the concept is too deep. If someone says, I have this concept, it's so deep I can't touch it. Why? It's a joke. The sense of touch or feel has no relationship with, and it's not attribute. attributable on the physical level of action, which can be grasped with the hands. Similarly, it's stupid. Why the stupid? That's right. Similarly, to say about the Eibush, I can't understand him, is as stupid as saying about an idea I can't touch it. And more. Wait, I'll tell you a word from the Rebbe. Similarly, when you talk about the truth of the Eibishter, the level of wisdom and intellectual reach is like a physical deed. Even the intellectual reach of the higher worlds. Even the level of Chachma in Atzilus. Kulam, which is the source of life for all living things, it's written in Tanya repeatedly. Kulam b'Chachma sisa. Everything begins with Chachma. That to say about the Eibishter that your Chachma doesn't understand him is an insult. Now I want to tell you a word. The Rebbe says that something which is in the realm of Seichel, and you don't understand it, you can say you don't understand it. Something which is not in the realm of Seichel, and you say you don't understand it, it's like saying you can't touch it v'ar Seichel. You can't touch it v'ar Seichel. It's foolish. So the Rebbe says, the Rebbe says that when you're talking about Nivroim, talking about creations, all creations have some erech. All creations have some erech. Ad kedei kach, that if someone comes along and says, this ruchnidige creation, I cannot touch it with my hand, and people laugh, people laugh, says the Rebbe in a footnote, the fact that they laugh shows on a connection. It's a stupid statement, but it's a stupid statement that elicits a laughter. He says that even though it's wrong to say, but it's measurable, it's relative, because Saf Kol Saf, this is a Nivra, this is a Nivra. Since we're dealing with Nivraim, some Nivraim you can understand, some Nivraim you can't understand, some Nivraim you can't even say you don't understand. But even when you say about a Nivra that you can't understand, that you don't understand it, and somebody laughs, that's a connection. Lagabe de Eibishter, you can't even say that you would laugh if you would say you can't touch it, because it's beyond laughter, it has no connection whatsoever. In other words, the Rebbe is saying it is only a mush to say that to touch something is a joke. But the Lagabe de Eibishter, it's not even a joke. There's no connection whatsoever. I hope I'm saying it correctly, but that's the footnote of the Rebbe. I hope I'm repeating it correctly. We can't cook it in a wenig, no? HaKadosh Baruch Hu nikra Chacham b'Kosav. Aye b'zeh the Torah calls him a Chacham. V'gam Chazal kinu lei madreges b'al Chachma. Torah Sheba'al Peh also repeatedly refers to him as Chachma. Is the Teretz Hainu Mishum? The Teretz is Shu Moker HaChachma. He's the source of Chachma. Shemimenu Yizbarach, that from him Nimshach v'Netzal, it was drawn down and was radiated. Mahus madreges Chachma Ilah Shebelam Atzilus. The essence of the step of supernal Chachma in the world of Atzilus, which is what the Rambam would call a Yedei and a Yidunu Amada. V'chein rachum, v'chosid, become compassionate and kind. Al shein, because Shu Moker Rachma v'achsadim is the root of compassion and kindness. V'chein sh'ara midas, as well as the remaining midas. Shekulan, that all of them, nimshachu v'netzlu mimenu yizbarach, were drawn down and radiated, emanated from him, and therefore we call him a chacham. La olam, you can't call him a chacham. La olam, you can't even call him not a chacham. La olam, you can't even call him not a chacham. There's no shayach chacham whatsoever. But we look at the world, we see Chachma. Fact is that this world goes through a Hishtalshelus. And the Hishtalshelus of the world begins with Chachma. So we call the Eibishter Chacham not because there's some indirect connection between him and Chachma, but because Saf Kol Saf, if there's Chachma in the world, it came from the Eibishter. So Chacha Filu, we started out with the Rambam, in the beginning of Perikhes, and the end of beginning of Perik Zayin, which is our model of Atzilus. Rebbe says if you want to introduce Kabbalah to the equation and the idea of Ein Sof, which is what the Maharal talks about, none of these terminologies are appropriate, except that Chachma comes from him. And then the Rebbe adds a line in Kabbalah, and that is V'derech v'inyan amshocha v'atzilus eichuma yadu l'maskilim. In other words, you should know that big Mekubalim can understand the idea of the Hishtashlos of a Malakalam from Sevav Kalam. Even though Chachma is nothing, is a Siya Gashmias, Lagabi Atmas Hisav Baruch. But there is a chilik between Malak Kalaman and Sevav Kalaman, and big Maskilim understand what Atmas means and what Sevav Kalaman means, or what Malak Kalaman means, and they have a sense of what it means, the Ein Sof of the Esesviras of Atzilus, who Aidein Aidu and Amada and Chachma, and the Ein Sof of Sevav Kalaman. But we're not big Maskilim. And there are these two Madregas. Okay, now remember, the Alter Rebbe's intent in this whole discourse is to say two things. There is an inyan of Mamala Kalam and Esesfiris where you say Chachma. There's an inyan of Sevav Kalam where you can't say any of these Tayarim. And that there's a reason we use both, we speak both levels. On the one hand, we say Mamalik Alaman, who are they doing or Amanda like the Rambam, because Safka that the Eibush created the world, and on the other hand, it's all nothing like Rabbi Atzma says.